moment. Do you have an opinion on who is the most controversial royal at the moment? I'm assuming you'll say the Duke of York, but what's your
yes, I am going to be unpredictable. I think my biography is a joint biography of him and Sarah Ferguson.
Okay.
And I think our perceptions of Sarah Ferguson may well change after the book's published. So I would put her up there as a joint villain.
Oh, really? Because I often have the feeling that Sarah Ferguson is becoming like a national treasure. She's a survivor. She's a fighter. She's had so many lows, and she keeps on coming.
Well, that's the impression that she gives. But I think what she presents in public and the reality is very different.
Okay, we'll look forward to it. Right, should we look for? This has been quite depressing. Should we find some optimism? It's the end of the year. Should we get some positivity?
Yeah, we've got a Christmas tree, so might as well.
Exactly. So we've got some quick fire review of the year questions, if you both like to help me out. What has been your favourite royal engagement of the year?
For me, it was the first engagement the King and Queen did post-cancer diagnosis, where he visited the hospital in London, the Macmillan Cancer Centre. It was such a positive atmosphere, very optimistic that he was back so soon, because a lot of us believed that he wouldn't be back for some time. And you could just see how he interacted with other cancer patients. It was a lot of empathy, and he just seemed to thrive. And that was the cornerstone, perhaps, of him ramping up his public work. So that was my favourite.
And mine, I think, is the Festival of Remembrance and Remembrance Sunday, where you see the royal family together. This is them at their best, bringing the country together and representing us. And it's always very moving and impressive to see them. So that always stands out for me.
Excellent. What has been the most amusing or fun moment of the year, if you have one?
Two, I would say. The most amusing is the alpaca sneezing on the King in Australia, which I thought was a great moment, and he took it very well. And the other was in Buckingham Palace at a reception. The King hugged the New Zealand women's rugby team when they asked if they could hug him, and it was just such a lovely moment, something which you could never imagine the late Queen Elizabeth II doing. But you can see Charles is a bit more modern.
They've definitely been more touchy-feely and more tactile in recent years, I think. The King seems to welcome it. You know, I was there for the alpaca, and we were waiting. The alpaca was wearing a crown and a little shirt and tie, and we were waiting for the King, hopefully, to get a picture of him near the alpaca, and then the alpaca fluffed his lines and sneezed on the King. So, but it was amusing.
I think anything with Queen Camilla. I mean, I think she's a breath of fresh air. She manages to get that balance between informality and dignity. And I think, she's a great asset to the King. And I think one of the interesting things is these outsiders, the Sophies and the Catherines and the Camillas, who are actually the ones who humanise the royal family and really know how to behave, a lot better than some of the people born to it.
Yeah, the main four, Andrew and Harry and Meghan get all the negative stories, and then the main four of the King, Queen, William and Catherine get most of the news that we talk about. But you're right, there are so many other royals that are actually doing good work.
The supporting royals who often don't get the attention. I think one of the interesting things, perhaps looking forward, is what role Lady Louise will have in the future. Right. Because clearly she's being pushed forward. She's clearly again a very attractive member of the royal family.
She's a bright girl as well.
Yeah, and she started doing some military volunteering work as well, like her late grandmother as well, Queen Elizabeth II. And I think my hero this year is actually her mother, Sophie, Duchess of Edinburgh. She just quietly gets on with her royal work, was supporting the Princess of Wales at the Remembrance Sunday service. She went to, she's been abroad championing this cause of sexual violence in a war zone, and really trying to support women who've been affected by that. And she just keeps calm and carries on, doesn't get involved in any scandals.
So Sophie's your hero of the year?
Sophie is my hero of the year. She doesn't get enough credit.
Great. Do you have a hero of 2024?
Yeah, well, I mean, I'd certainly put Sophie up there. I mean, I think poor old, her husband also does a lot of good work. He's perhaps slightly less charismatic than she is, but I think he's a sort of unsung hero. And I think the Queen, too. I mean, she has stepped in on several occasions to hold the fort together. And I think, we're jolly lucky that we have a very obvious succession line with some very, I think, able and dedicated people.
Yeah, Camilla was great at the start of the year. And she always had a word about the King as well. When anyone asked, she kind of helped us out in many ways, because people would ask her, and she'd be very openly talking about the King, saying that, he's doing well, and giving some reassurance to people when they asked as well. Because Camilla's one of the most popular royals amongst journalists. So when we go on jobs, she's always the one who's more friendly and recognises that we're there. And we all appreciate her when we're on rota jobs. Right?
Absolutely. And I think she really stepped up, as you say, this year, Matt, particularly when we had the King, Princess of Wales and Prince William out of action. And she continues with engagements which originally were scheduled for herself and the King, and just got on with the job, despite her age. I think she really stepped up to the mark this year.
Great. I might know the answer to this one, but let's see. Andrew, do you have a villain of the year?
Well, I mean, I think my villain again is or the two are the Duke and Duchess of York. I think our perceptions of them, I hope by next year, by the time the book comes out, will be very different to the picture now. I think that story of his involvement, particularly the financial side, has a long way still to run, and things are clearly emerging day by day about some of his contacts.
Am I allowed to personify a villain?
Sure.
Can I say cancer is the villain of 2024? Because I think it's just really affected the royal family this year, clearly, with the King and the Princess. And Sarah, Duchess of York as well. I mean, the thought of 3 cancer diagnoses, or 3 people being diagnosed with cancer, was just unheard of. And it's just really been a horrible year for the royals.
Yeah, no, that's a very good idea. That's a great answer, actually. We still don't know, the future for the King and the Princess of Wales. We hope both of them are going to pull through properly. We know that, Catherine has finished a chemotherapy, but we're still waiting to hear a bit more on the King, right?
Yeah, Catherine says she's still not out of the woods, and we haven't had an update on that. And we know that the King is still continuing weekly cancer treatment. So it's on hold, but it seems more positive than it did in March, April time, put it that way.
Yeah. And just finally, it's Christmas. Do you either of you have any insights into how the royal family will be spending Christmas? Do you know about any of the traditions that they have, or what you think they might be doing this year? Well,
I believe they do the German tradition where they open their presents on Christmas Eve. Of course, something that Prince Albert and Queen Victoria used to do, and they've just kind of continued it. So I think George, Charlotte and Louis in particular will get to open their presents on Christmas Eve.
Well, one of the things I discovered, it's only about one of them, but Prince Andrew goes for a complete detox over Christmas. So after the Christmas festivities are over, he basically, tries to lose weight and detoxify. And he's actually very into alternative health, which might surprise a lot of people.
Wow. I wonder what Christmas is going to be like at Royal Lodge when it's just Sarah and Andrew, completely different.
And the Chinese ambassador.
And the Chinese ambassador. Wonderful. Well, thanks very much. Really appreciate you. I'm looking forward to your book and great analysis from both of you guys. So thanks so much for coming on, and happy Christmas and Happy New Year.
Happy Christmas.
Well, thank you for watching. If you like the show, please leave a comment below because we always read them. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode. From all of us here, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.